Before I studied the Vision to Reality module, I had a lot of preconceptions of what education is, and with the research I did for this module, and the primary school placements I have had the opportunity to do, my ideology of education has been challenged, as a lot of things I thought was important in schools, I no longer think are essential to a child's education. Megan and Harbour created a framework that explains different aspects of an educational ideology, and I'm going to use this as a guideline to help create my own. Within this presentation, I'm going to focus on where learning takes place and also talk about how learning is organised within the classroom, the type and form of the resources used to support learning. Even though I am focusing on these three, I may touch upon a couple of the other factors throughout this presentation. In regard to where learning takes place, I have always pictured a classic classroom, with the teacher at the front and the pupils just listening to the information sat at their desk. However, I now know that not only is there different kinds of teaching within the classroom, but the classroom itself is not essential for a child's education. Home education is where parents have decided to take responsibility for their own children's learning and teach them at home themselves. Some people may think this is very radical, as not all parents who homeschool are qualified teachers. However, there are a lot of benefits, such as individualisation. Obviously, parents will want the best for their child. They will tailor the child's learning on their preferences and be able to give them more time and go into subjects deeper than what you can do in a class, as the teacher has another 30 children to worry about. Also, the experiences they have in outer society whilst on trips, when other children are sat in classrooms, gives them a lot of social skills that they can take into situations when they're older and be more prepared, whereas some people in school struggle to tailor their behaviour to the new environment and will behave like they are in a class. It is clear that child-centred learning is a big part of my ideology, as people like Montessori and Steiner, two people who let the children be the directors of their own learning, changed my opinion on how lessons should be taught. The same with home educators. They gave time for children to discover how they learn, whether it is practical or visual, and then give them the opportunity and the environment to take advantage of this. They were also big advocates on the children feeling safe and enjoying coming into school, which is important because you'd want children to come into school with a positive attitude, ready for learning. However, in some circumstances, this is not the case. In regard to how children are within schools split into ability groups is something I thought I understood, and even though I knew repercussions of it, like children being demotivated to learn because they are in lower sets and feel they're already a failure, it was still something that I thought had to be done for the practicality of it. In placement, it was easy to see why people prefer to do it as this, as it made it easy for the teacher to have all the children who were slightly struggling to be near the front, near her, so she could discuss the work with them all at once, whilst leaving the children who could do it on their own to do so. However, Montessori not only had mixed ability grouping, she had mixed age groups, and she spoke about how younger children imitate the older children and how the older children help teach and guide the younger children, so it can clearly be done and effectively. There is also the trouble with lower sets when it gets to secondary school. I don't feel as though children should be getting a watered down version of the curriculum and be put into foundation exams, as I feel as this is more for the government to protect their statistics. They make lower sets take easier tests so there is less chance to fail, which already caps how high they can achieve. And I think people in lower sets need to be seen as people who can learn the same concepts as higher sets, but they just have to go more in depth and take longer on the subject. A continuous theme within my ideology is that each individual should get the support they need during education. I believe that all children should have access to resources that could aid their learning. This could be with supplying books or multisensory equipment like Montessori uses, but also supplying children with special needs the resources that could help them have the same chances as other pupils, whether that be wheelchairs or things like iris scanners. This makes the environment a lot more inclusive and hopefully make children feel less awkward and uncomfortable, as sometimes SEN pupils get left out of activities as they are deemed not able to do it, whereas I feel as though teachers should at least look into resources that can help engage everyone. Another important resource to me is IT skills. This generation has become very IT literate and is an important part of our society. Therefore, I feel as though schools should try to teach children how to use it in a professional manner, as it stores a lot of information that is easily accessible for children to help them learn. And because it is such a part of our generation that if a child is not taught basic IT skills, they may fall behind, as a lot of jobs nowadays use it also for presentations, for example. Whilst looking at these examples, it is fair to say my ideology leans more to emphasis on the individual. I feel as though schools should be the facilitators of knowledge and that children should come in wanting to learn. With this, I feel as though education should be more child-centred and are given the time to play and use their imagination. Classes should be more inclusive in terms of everyone working together to help bring everyone up to the same standard, but also so everyone has equal chances with the resources given. I think IT needs to be a more valued and funded subject, as I feel like the way we are going, everything is done by computers now. As I go through my teaching career, my ideology will probably be changed and altered throughout experiences. However, I think the focus on the individual child will never change, as it is the most important part of education for me.